Charlotte with Freezer Meals 101. Today I'm going to be doing some breakfast prep, and so come along with me while we get these things made and in the freezer to make those mornings easier. When you have things all ready to go, it's so easy to get out the door in the morning, or easy to get your kids out the door and on the bus or off to school, work, or wherever it is that they're going. So I really like to have at least a few options in my freezer at all times that the kids can choose from, or I can choose from if I'm really in a rush to get out the door. And up until recently, I still had breakfast sandwiches in there and breakfast quesadillas and some egg bites, so we were all good to go. But I've recently realized that we don't have anything left that is breakfast food. So today we're just gonna whip up some really easy things to get the freezer stocked with breakfast items. First thing we're gonna make is cinnamon French toast. I will put the recipe for this in the description down below, but I have to tell you, I have run into two fairly major issues with making this French toast today. I bought cinnamon bread yesterday. I bought 2 loaves specifically to make this today. This is the 1 loaf. My family figured out that this was in the house, and obviously they like cinnamon bread. This has only been here since late yesterday afternoon, and it's gone. So we've got 2 full slices left in there, and then my second loaf. This is kind of funny, kind of not. I don't know what to say. Do you see this? It's a triangle. Lovely little triangle. The whole thing. It's a triangle. I don't even know what to say. I had this in the counter in a bag, and the cat had a nap on it. So you just can't even make this stuff up, folks. It's ridiculous. I could not get 2 loaves of bread to make it even 24 hours without incident in this house. But we're gonna make do. I did consider making like a French toast casserole with this, because then I could just kind of put it into pieces and shred it. And that's gonna be my backup plan, but I'm hoping that I can just sort of flatten things out and cook them, and they'll be like sort of French toast like. So we'll see how this goes, but we're not off to the best start ever. So we're gonna do eggs, milk, nutmeg, vanilla, and my secret ingredient is orange zest. So we're gonna take an orange and zest that into here, and it's going to be amazing. I have whisk. If you've been following my videos for a long time, you know that I did not have a whisk, but my mom watches the videos, so she gave me this for Christmas this year. I now have a whisk, and I don't need to get comments about how you really should get yourself a whisk, because here we go. Thanks, Mom. Let's get started. Might not be pretty, but they're still gonna taste the same. So I'm just cooking these on a griddle, and then electric griddle. And then I'm gonna lay them flat on a cookie sheet. This is key. If you're gonna make French toast for the freezer, you need to lay them flat on a cookie sheet and freeze them. And then take them out of the freezer once they're frozen, transfer them into a reusable or resealable freezer bag, and then put them back in the freezer. That way they won't stick together. So then you can take out individual French toast slices, and you can put them in the toaster or toaster oven to reheat. Okay, these triangle ones are gonna need a little bit more babysitting because, you know, with the wonky shape, they don't totally cook evenly, so I have to make sure that I press down the parts that are not on the griddle. But other than that, I mean, they're gonna taste fine. My kids might be weirded out, but yeah, let this be a lesson. Don't let your cat sleep on your loaf of bread. Okay, I'm gonna get this first tray of cinnamon French toast put in the freezer, and then we'll get started on the next tray. There won't be enough to fill it, but I have something else that also needs to flash freeze in the freezer. So we'll just, put as many will fit, and then when we've got the next stuff done, we can put it on there and it can all go in. Cinnamon French toast down. When you have a large family like ours, you would have needed those full 2 loaves at least to make this worthwhile, but they'll still be good. They'll still be appreciated, even if just by a few kids. So yeah, that's done. Oh, I printed this off from the Freezer Meals 101 Club. The link for that will be down below as well. Then we're gonna move on to Buttermilk Waffles. I'm gonna move the griddle out of the way, replace it with the waffle maker, and waffles are the same idea. You're gonna have to make them, cook them, and then freeze them flat on a cookie sheet before you transfer them into the freezer bags. If you've watched some of my breakfast prep videos before, then you know that I always used to make these teeny tiny little waffles, heart shape, so cute, but now I never do that. The reason is that these were not toasting in our toaster oven. They were falling and getting stuck and causing problems and lighting on fire. So this is not something I'm gonna be doing again. I should probably actually get rid of that, but I always think, well, I might find a use for it, or I might be able to make, crab cakes or something like that in there. And heart-shaped crab cakes, I mean, who doesn't need those? Anyway, a friend of mine told me about this waffle maker, and I have to show this to you guys. I hope you can see that. It's giant, but it makes 4 waffles at a time, and each of these waffles are the size of a slice of bread. So they fit perfectly in the toaster, not gonna cause any fires, not gonna get stuck. So this is now my go-to waffle maker. I love also that I can make 4 at a time, and it's so much faster. My only regret is that I didn't start doing it sooner. Ooh, I will put a link in the description below for where you can get your own waffle maker that makes the 4 bread size waffles. Okay, so the buttermilk waffles are, I'm doubling it. If you were not doubling it, it's 2 cups flour, 1 tablespoon sugar, ½ teaspoon salt, 2 tablespoons baking powder, 2 large eggs lightly beaten, 1 1/3 cups buttermilk, 1 1/3 cups milk, and 4 tablespoons melted butter or oil. We're gonna double this, get this started, and then we will have delicious buttermilk waffles at the ready anytime. While the waffles cook, I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup, but I'm also going to make a hash brown casserole. Love having these in the freezer. They're great for a Sunday brunch. They're even actually good for a side dish, and it just makes a weekend breakfast a lot easier if I have them. So I'm just gonna whip one of those together, put it in a freezer bag, get that in the freezer in between taking the waffles out and putting them on the cookie sheet. And then at some point I will put, when this tray is full, put this tray in the freezer to flash freeze, get out the tray of those other French toasts, get those into a freezer bag. So I'll kind of be doing some multitasking, but that way we can get the hash brown casserole done, the waffles done, the cinnamon toast done, and we will have a good start on having easy breakfasts again in this house. The recipe for the hash brown casserole will be down below. You want to make sure that you get the air out of the bag, just like when we put the French toast and waffles in bags. We're going to get all the air out of those bags too, or as much as we possibly can, because when you're freezer cooking, air causes your freezer burn, so you avoid it at all costs. Now, I'm not sure if all ladles are exactly the same size, but to get this one, which is like the perfect square, I used one full ladle, not heaping, but just full. So I now have figured out what the sizing is for this waffle maker. So for today's breakfast prep, we only made 3 recipes, which I know is a lot less than I usually do, but I also want to show you that freezer cooking doesn't have to be overwhelming. If you have an extra hour sometime, you can easily use that to stock your freezer, and even if you haven't planned ahead, there are probably recipes that you have on hand already that you can use to create either dinners, lunches, snacks, or breakfasts. So today I just had this narrow window and I knew that we had run out of breakfast things in the freezer. So I just made these 3 recipes, which will now last us quite a while because this waffle recipe is making a lot, which is great, especially if you have a large family. Like I said, I did double the recipe and usually I triple it. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't triple it today because I'd be standing here for a lot longer. But as you saw, I also used the time that the waffles were cooking to do my cleanup and to get some of those French toast into the bag and to make a hash brown casserole. So you're just multitasking, using your time the best that you can. If you're out there and you're great at multitasking, this should show you that you can get a lot done in a little bit of time and have breakfast ready to go in your freezer. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm gonna put a video right there where I do like a huge breakfast marathon where I pretty much cooked for the whole day and made breakfast for months. So I'll put that video there to give you some ideas of recipes that you can make and all the breakfast things. But thanks again for joining me today and happy cooking.